what you know about purification to save the heart of a nation. Let burn a talking wood, bringing light to a talking wood. Not your largest wisdom and love, vision truth below as a bird. Let burn a talking wood, let burn a talking wood.
Welcome to the Affirm Life Daily podcast. As you can see, I have a special guest with me today. But before I introduce my guest, I want to remind you to visit the Affirm Life Daily website at affirmlifedaily.com. Please follow on social media at Affirm Life Daily and subscribe on YouTube at Affirm Life Daily. Your support is absolutely necessary and needed in the movement towards truth and freedom. But thank you so much for joining us today. I want to introduce my guest. I have Trinity Mitchell. This is my daughter and one of her cohorts, Cecilia. And they're going to be talking about Gen Z, and because I feel like a lot of times Gen Z gets stereotyped in this narrow little box and we think of them one way, but they are a diverse group of people that really, a lot of them are really in this, like wholeheartedly in this truth and freedom movement. So I really thought it was important to get their perspectives and to talk to them one-on-one so we can get a better understanding of what's going on with their generation, how they feel, and what they're doing, how they're moving during these, how else can I put it, crazy ass times that we're living in. So welcome both of you so much. I'm so happy to have you both on. I will let you both introduce yourselves. So Trinity, if you want to go ahead first, please introduce yourself, tell them about you and where they can find you.
My name is Trinity Mitchell. You can find me on Instagram. It's Extraordinary Machine on Instagram, but it's a little confusing, so I can
I'll post links as well.
Put it in the link or something. But I guess can say I've been in the truth and freedom movement for longer than I even knew it was a thing, I guess. And y'all know her. So this been my mother my entire life. It definitely led me in a very specific path. And I'm grateful for it every day. Just always being given the opportunity to learn the truth through somebody that I trust so much.
Thank you, Trin. And Cece, do you mind if I call you Cece?
I don't mind.
Okay. Please introduce yourself, and if you want people to be able to follow you, you can let them know also where to follow you.
Okay. My name is Cecilia. I can go by Cecilia9 or Cece. I don't mind. I'm 21. I've been friends with Trinity for the past 3 years, I would say. I've been part of the movement for a good minute. I would say I really fully got the full scope of it sophomore year of high school, so pretty early, just being aware of a lot more things deeper than what we see. And I've always been really intrigued and just really passionate about the movement. I'm currently in school. I'm in school to become an educator, specifically an art teacher for elementary school students. And yeah, that's all that I have for right now.
Just one quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a certain event or did something happen specifically in society or in your personal life that kind of, you said it happened around sophomore year, that really kind of helped you maybe see things in a different way?
I ended up moving in with my father at the time, so it was just me and him, and we were just getting to know each other. It was a very chaotic time for me. So I don't know how I ended up on that side of the internet. I guess just asking the right questions and pulling the right strings. And it was me and my friend at the time. I also became vegetarian for 2 years. And then I stopped and I'm now vegetarian again, or a pescatarian. But nothing too major. I've always had that sense of curiosity, whether it was forcefully or not, but just I am a child of immigrants. My whole family are we're not from America, so it's kind of just I have to be aware to a certain extent and just knowing what's going on politically and globally. And yeah, I think my dad has always told me right from wrong, like, and just knowing like all of this is really fake. Especially when it comes to politicians, and I feel like once it starts from there, it's like everything else has to be off.
Start down the rabbit hole. Like, wait,
Yeah.
not just this is fake, all of it's fake. No, I know exactly what you mean. I'm just gonna quickly share my screen here.
Cynthia, if I could offer up the utmost respect, Gen Z, Nepal. Who overthrew the government in Nepal? Gen Z.
Oh,
Booyah.
let me see. Hold on, let me go. I didn't catch the last thing that you said. What was that?
Gen Z got tired of the push of the government against them, and they started to cut down all their social media, their access to
I'm sorry, you're going in and out. It's not picking up everything that you're saying. For some reason, it's going in and out. But maybe you could put it in the chat because it's not picking. The mic is not picking up anymore.
I'm in the signal bubble zone. I'm sorry to say I gotta go, but you guys keep fighting the great fight. You are fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We will not be giving up anytime soon. Thank you. Thank you, though, for the support. Okay, so can you all see my screen? Yes? Okay. So we're going to be discussing Gen Z's perspectives and roles in the truth and freedom movement and how they're perceived socially. So the first question I have for you both is, how does this generation define the truth and freedom movement? For what do you consider to be the truth and freedom movement? I'll let you go first, Trinity.
I feel like the truth and freedom movement to us is so kind of intertwined with our livelihood at this point. Sorry.
Just want to make sure they can hear you.
I feel like now, especially with how heated everything is, that the truth and freedom movement is very intertwined with our livelihood. I feel like those of us who know how important it is to know the full truth about everything that's going on, know that we, without having that, won't have anything. I think like there's so much in front of us that is just visibly and objectively wrong that we can't ignore. So it's like there's really no other alternative other than to let things continue to perish or to move in the direction of truth and freedom. I feel like without it even having a specific movement, there's so many people existing in that space right now, because it feels kind of like two paths that you're able to take right now, just with how extremely chaotic everything is. It's not at a place where you're able to ignore it, especially for our generation, because we're reaching that adulthood where we're trying to figure out what we want to do with our lives, and so many of those systems that we would be using to figure that out are crumbling. So we have to make sure we're all on the same page and knowing what's going on to be able to fight this. And yeah, I don't want to say too much with just a specific answer, but yeah.
No, I get it, because it is all related so much to morality.
Yeah.
You know, and right now we're at a point where if you're not acknowledging it, it's almost like you have to be willfully ignoring it.
Yes.
How would you respond to that, Cecilia?
All that was well said, so I'll just continue off of that. It's just like, I feel like at this point, it definitely is intertwined with like our livelihood, our daily life at this point. If I feel like if you're not interacting with it and staying educated in that whole realm in itself, I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice. So therefore, I start to view as if like your morals are kind of in the wrong place. Because I understand some of this stuff can be overwhelming, but it's like, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? And I just feel like if you continue to ignore it, it's not going to go anywhere. This is here. And when I feel like we have to face it, and that's what the movement is about. to see it, to acknowledge it, to digest it, to be upset, and then to do something off of that. And that's how I define the movement itself. And the truth is just accepting right from wrong, fact from opinion, the oppressors and the
Fact from
oppressed,
opinion.
and to know what true history is, not just based off of like a textbook per se, but actually looking deeper than that and using your discernment. I think that's also very big, especially given that like the education system that we've all been a part of has failed to do that with certain things and majority of things really. So yeah.
Yeah, that you brought up some very good points, especially the discernment. It's critical. It's critical that you have that, and the more in tune you become to, because truth has a certain frequency to it, and it sits in your gut a certain way. When truth hits your gut, especially if you are, you know, in tune with your body and with your spirit and in your spiritual nature, it hits different. It touches you different. It reaches you different. So you have to really hone that skill now, because we are going to be bombarded more and more and more and more with fictions and lies and scare tactics and coercion and threats and all those things.
Such a quicker pace because of this introduction of AI. Nobody even has to think about it anymore. They can just do it. And that's another thing that I try to talk about often is, sorry.
She has a low voice.
I try to talk about that really often, just the amount of narratives that we are fighting right now. There's so many different narratives that we have to use discernment with to figure out where we actually are and what true reality we are existing in, because there's so many different narratives that it's like people are all living in different realities because we're perceiving the world in different ways. We're all believing different stories, but there is a specific, true, clear narrative. I won't say it's super clear because of all of the other narratives, but it's there. And if people take the time to educate themselves and seek out the truth, it is reachable.
Yes.
You know,
Very, very well said, ladies. Very well said. You both brought up some really good points. So one of the things I really want to dive deep into are, what are some of the most prominent viewpoints, including your viewpoint and other ones? What are some of the most prominent viewpoints that you all, and opinions that you all have recognized in your specific generation?
Cece, do you want to go first?
Yeah, Cece, you can go ahead and go first if you like.
You can go first, Trin, if you want to. Yeah.
I feel like for this generation, I feel like with the people that I talk to and my friends, we all want to be able to create freely. So many of the people around me are just extremely creative people with no outlet for that creativity, because the society that we live in does not support creative minds like in that way, or does not support you being able to have a lively, there's no structure for our creativity to support our livelihood, if that makes sense. Like, we can't find jobs in our creative fields, or we don't even have time to dwell into our creative fields because we are so so overwhelmed with work, school, and then really with those two things, you hardly have any time to do anything else. And then for people in this movement with that knowledge, that in itself is so overwhelming and consuming that is where most of your time is going. And so much of our time is being used to fight against these things. But on the other side of it, I think that there is so much that we can be creating to there's so much that we can create while being involved in this truth and freedom movement. I think that is one of the places where we can use our creativity and it be used for something important. And I also feel like we really want security. I feel like we really want security. We really want security, safety, and privacy. I feel like those are all things that this generation specifically has never really even experienced. Because I feel like post-Patriot Act, which is majority of Gen Z has been born post-Patriot Act. That's 2001, and Gen Z starts in 1997. So the majority of us have never even experienced a life
without that level of surveillance.
Yeah,
wow.
We have
I didn't even think about that.
Surveillance state the majority of our entire lives, which also. So that's like two that splits us into like two groups, kind of a group of people who know about what life was like before that and understand the difference, and that what we are getting right now is not normal. And then there's a group of people who have this has always been their normal, and they don't see an issue with that. And that's going back into that truth and freedom movement, something that we all need to be on the same page about again. I have a couple more, but if you want to say anything.
Pretty much. I just feel like, and that's where I feel like if anyone thinks that it's like fear mongering or anything, it's kind of just like, think about someone who's 20 years old knowing about this stuff, you know, feeling this amount of anger, to know the difference. Like, things does feel different. Even when you talk to people younger than you, it's just like they don't know anything else. It's like there's nothing there. And it's just like, this is not normal. Like, it definitely is not normal. And it's like, to meet even people older than me who thinks this is the way of living. Like, who cannot envision a life without capitalism, fascism, a world where oppressors don't exist, or colonization. It's kind of just like, you know what I'm saying? It's treated as if it's a taboo. I think that's actually very scary.
Because I feel like with this current new wave of fascism that we are experiencing right now, and it is so heavy and intense, but going back to the Patriot Act, that is fascism. All of that was fascism being instilled in an extreme way. So many things changed at that time period. And
through orchestrated fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, it's frustrating and upsetting knowing that like a large majority of our generation doesn't even know that. We can't acknowledge that because it's just what has always been. And then, but I guess to go back to like the question, like just some other viewpoints and opinions that I think are really important to us. I think also when it comes to the climate, I think that is something that we can all agree on. Like, I mean, it's something everybody should be able to agree on, but this is not sustainable. And I think it is so disheartening for our generation because we are at that stage of adulthood where like our lives are just beginning, and it's just beginning, and we're terrified that in the next 5 years it's going to be too hot for us to even sustain being here anymore. So I think we all are very, very passionate about corruption and reducing this issue. And so
to stop the geoengineering, which is the biggest climate problem we have, is what they're doing.
And then so that with these increasing AI data centers that are sucking all of the water out of the areas that they're being built in and polluting the air of the areas that they are built in. And that's something, just AI itself is another thing that I think our generation is very against. And nobody's a monolith. So there's obviously people in this generation, as there is in every other generation, that still use AI and and don't see the harm that it is causing. But I do, like, and a lot of my peers know that that is something that we're all mutually against and do not want, especially going back to that, us wanting to be able to create freely. That is directly hindering our ability to be able to create, because that is taking away the creative jobs that we, like the little creative jobs that we even have left. It's hard enough to get into those fields, and now it's going to just continue to be harder. So, yeah.
Yeah, when creativity is outsourced to AI, that's a big deal. And I didn't initially know about the environmental impacts of it. I'm going to be doing a podcast pretty soon with Derek Barticelli about AI. Now that I've learned more about the environmental impact, I haven't not used it again since then. I just really had no idea it was that extreme and that bad. If it's not something you've looked into, I highly recommend you look into the environmental impacts of AI. And I'm not saying AI is inherently bad or inherently wrong, but you have to find a way to do it that's environmentally responsible. Yes. And I'm sure there is, they just don't care. And as with everything else that they do.
Such a mass scale and the availability that it's at, it'll never be, they're never like that. It won't ever be sustainable. The way that it's being used for everything,
that's not necessary.
The way that they are even, it's just, it won't be sustainable in this way. It needs complete reform of the way that they're going about AI, but also just thinking about who the people behind AI are, and think about, would any of these people actually have good intention for me? Because think about how valuable all of that data that they are collecting off of you is, and the people who own that data. Because if you go back into any of those people, you probably don't want any of those people own your data. I know personally, I don't want Elon Musk to have any more access to any more of my data, because he has enough. So,
No, I agree. One thing that I was thinking about is just the lack of future in terms of just thinking about like, oh, like if I want to have kids in the future, if I don't want to have kids in the future. I feel like compared to the last generation, like that was a conversation that could be had at any time. But now you're bringing it up and it's like, people are looking at you like children. I don't want no kids. I don't want no kids. I don't want no kids. And it's like, it's understandable because, that's definitely a tough responsibility. But you can see the difference in generations that like view it as like a fundamental quote unquote achievement in life, and now you can see it as like a option, like full on option, like I want to have kids, I don't want to have kids, and like the reasoning behind it. And part of that, yes, it is obviously choice, and just like, like just thinking about what you do gain and possibly do have to give up to be a parent. But I do think another part that plays into it is just thinking about the future in general, like a future with AI, a future with climate change. It's getting hotter every summer. I don't think that's a fair way to give someone the opportunity without fully knowing what's going to come of the future. Every day it's something new. Every day it's a new challenge. And then you just hear from a lot of parents, on their own, it's hard out here. It really is. And the way that things are looking, I don't see it getting any better if we do not come together literally very soon. And that's one of the things that we can fix and that excludes that kind of takes away from the climate change, because we had time to definitely make that turn. But I think now we need to think, how are we going to evolve with what's going on with nature in itself?
Much has already changed.
Yeah, so much is changing, and then with AI, it's going to continue to change, and it has been changing. You have people speaking about how they don't even have water, and that's just not a way to live. And then another thing that I will say is how we do have the intelligence to know who the ops are, like who the bad guys are, or the elites per se, or at least have an open discussion to question it. I feel like back in the days, if you were to say some of the stuff, it's like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, or like you're a hippie, or just some type of like, to just like derail people from thinking that way. But I think now we can have more of a comfortable conversation to realize, China isn't the biggest op, or Russia is not the biggest op. The biggest op is America in itself.
Right.
And that's just, it's very scary, because a lot of people really did used to think like, there's a reason why we're going out there fighting those wars over there and doing this and doing that. And there's some people who are like, no, we just need to mind our business. And, but I think now we can fully all agree that was just unneeded. Even just now seeing what's going on in Palestine, like there's no excuse you can come up with that. And if you do try to come up with an excuse, then, you have an easy label of being a Zionist, and especially if you defend, Israel in a way of, yeah. So it's just, yeah. And I think that's something that gives me hope with this generation, is that we have discernment. Like the right people have discernment. I feel like the number that we keep growing, I think we're going to get to a point where we can for sure, go against the system. Obviously people take time, but I think we're on the right road, I would say.
Well, that's definitely good to hear, because I know, you all impress me so much. I mean, she teaches me stuff all the time that I didn't know. But like, oh, really? That's going on, or this is going on. She teaches me stuff all the time. So we learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So grateful for that relationship. And, she tells me about, things that, that you all do together, and that you discuss and that you talk about. And it's just very impressive, because you all are so young. And I mean, when I was 21, I was married already, but we were just having a lot of fun. Honestly, I was in college. I took that seriously, but, we had a lot of fun. We weren't, I wasn't thinking about this level of serious issues. But you all, I feel like either you're going to totally have to put your head in the sand, or you have to look at these issues. It's an impact of your life in a way where I feel like it didn't so directly and immediately impact mine. So it is impressive, the courage and foresight and all the thing, the integrity that you all are showing at such a young age, to even, speak out in the way that you're speaking out. So, kudos to you both so much. Yes.
Yeah, I definitely I'm so grateful to have people in my life, especially Cece. The conversations we've had, so I am so grateful to have like-minded people around me. And going back to what you were saying before, just with what's happening in Palestine, although there is way more inaction than there should be, people should be actively trying to stop what's going on. What I can say is that I do know that it's still, at least the majority of people know that it's wrong. Yeah. When the United States went to war in Afghanistan or Iraq, there were so many more people here that were supportive of that happening. I will say that is a clear difference that I do see. There might be just apathy or just uninvolvement in not paying attention to the situation, but I still think that people understand that it's wrong. They might not care enough to do anything about it, but I think that fundamental understanding of that we are not supposed to be doing this is still a first step to action, even if it's going to take a while. But I'm just glad that I can acknowledge that the majority of us are there. So, yeah.
Which is very good, because, like I said, that is the first step. If you're not even acknowledging that something is immoral or something is wrong, there is no next step, because you're just like, this is cool. They're not killing off my people. They're not killing off my family. Who cares? So at least, we are getting there, as far as people just saying, okay, this is at least wrong. So do you feel like your generation is Gen Z? Are you guys being underestimated? How do you feel about it?
Yes.
Speak on it, Cecilia. Speak on it.
Yeah, we definitely are, but I like being underestimated, because I feel like then you get the extra mile, because when you really think about it, we're very intelligent, but I do feel like through time it has been forgotten, just historically, how young, activists were, or people who were for the movement were. When you look back, a lot of them were our age.
Black Panthers were in their 20s.
Yeah, they were in their 20s. And I think that's like that's really interesting. But we definitely are underestimated in like so many different ways. Whether it's like people saying, "Oh, y'all are too emotional," or "Y'all can't take nothing," and, you know, stuff like that, or even just down to like, where they like where they think that our opinions lie because of TikTok or Instagram. Like the other day, my cousin had called me, and we definitely have opposite views fully. There be times where we can understand each other, but it's definitely opposite views. And he was just saying, he asked me what a conservative was because Charlie Kirk, you know, that situation happened. And I gave him the definition, and then I wasn't done yet, and he cut me off, and he was just like, "Nope, that's not the definition." And then he ended up telling me the definition that I said and was going to say, and then he was saying, "That's why you have to stay off of TikTok." And I'm just like, I have not been on TikTok, and I don't even know how long. But it's like, why would I like, I'm not a kid, you know, I would know what's going on, and I have discernment. So I definitely think we're underestimated. I feel like a lot of people think that we do get our sources from like like solely off of social media, and we don't do further research, and we don't like use our brain. But it's kind of just like, at the same time, like, we're the closest to like coming out of school. So even if you believe in the education system, you wouldn't just think like we only look into like Instagram and TikTok. Like, you would think that we would also use what we learned in school and apply that critical thinking.
And
But go ahead.
but one thing that I will say when it comes to social media and education is I feel like that in itself is so like like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more good in that than people let on. I feel like it's very like, oh, well, you can't believe that because you just read it on social media. But you're also getting your information from the most propagandized news network you could possibly get it from. So I don't think, like, you know what I mean? Like, it'll be an adult that watches Fox News telling you that you can listen to Instagram because whatever. But I honestly much prefer to get my information from usually more firsthand, like, people experiencing things, like, because like we without TikTok and Instagram, we would not come close to knowing about what's going on in Palestine, in Congo, in Sudan, and all of these places. We like having social media is a genuine tool. How we use it, that changes everything. But it can be used for so much good, and I feel like it just gets kind of pushed aside very easily and just kind of like illegitimized. But I feel like it deserves a lot of validation. Like, I think that we have moved so far in the right direction because of social media. I don't think we would have been able to do it without social media. So, and just and kind of everything happens for a reason aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just to, I guess, answer the question myself, I obviously agree. Like, yeah, we definitely are being underestimated in so many different ways. I feel like it's just a large assumption that we don't really care about what's going on. But again, like you were saying, like, forefronts of political movements have always, always, always been the youth. Like, that college age of kids have always been on the front lines of these movements. And like, to see people my age, like even like Greta Thunberg, like she is actively on a flotilla trying to give aid to people in Palestine. Like, that is beautiful revolutionary work that's being done by Gen Z. That's being like, and she is the main main focus there, like that main person getting all of that attention, and that is from our generation, and that is something that I'm so proud of, and like proud to be able to witness. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say about the Greta Thunberg and the flotilla. Like, yeah, that's a great thing. Even people that I know on TikTok are getting on these flotillas from America and going over there. So my whole thing is just like, will they be considered TikTokers or will they be considered activists so it's just like, based on who you're talking to, it's a different concept, but social media is not inherently bad. It's just how we chose to go about with certain things. But no, it saves lives. I would not know these families existed if I did not have TikTok or if I did not have Instagram. Like, I would not know these families are literally needing help and being able to talk to them, hearing their stories. Like, I don't know. And CNN is not going to give them that opportunity. CNN don't even want you to know that they exist. Or really majority of these platforms that are literally on our TVs. But yeah, I think that's definitely moving what Greta is doing and the rest of them, because it's definitely a lot. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to go out there and put your life on the line. But it has always been us who were down to do it. So I think we're underestimated, but we're always going to be the light in the situation.
Yes. That's beautifully stated, ladies, because you all, have, been rising to the occasion, and throughout history, your generation has, that young generation has risen to the occasion many times. And you all, I agree 100%. It's social media is what you make of it. It's who you follow, what you're taking from it. Do you use discernment? Do you research things further, or do you just take everything at face value? All those things factor in, but it is a great way to share information and communicate. I've learned about so many things going on TikTok. I post regularly to TikTok, Instagram, and social media, YouTube, because people are on there. So if you want to reach people with these messages, you have to go to where the people are. Where are they congregating? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I've had so many beautiful conversations with people, and people have told me that I've taught them like several times just with me posting on my Instagram. And I love being able to do that, and I love being able to talk directly to the people, like my peers, like, you know what I mean? Because this is I'm talking to y'all, just like on purpose. Like, I'm trying to get this message through to y'all. You know what I mean? So I'm personally just so grateful to even have a platform like that to do that on, because that lack of which also we do need that in-person community, especially considering going back to this surveillance state and the lack of privacy. Though, this place that we are headed to, in that intense amount of surveillance, it's not right now, but it's definitely not going to be safe for us to be planning things on these social media platforms. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be able to figure out how we want to have real in-person live community with each other, so we can plan these things in person. It's not safe for us to be having all of our ideas out on these social media platforms for our oppressors to consume as well as us. You know what I mean? The ops are everywhere. They're everywhere. So yeah.
That's a good point that you bring up, because and I've met some great people, online, that, I consider, brothers and sisters wholeheartedly, especially, in this movement. But we also do have to build these real life in-person communities. Now is the time, because I'm not a believer in fighting the system. F that system. We gonna go build our own, is my point of view. You can fight it all day long, or you can use that energy to build something much better. We can build the new paradigm, because there are people that want this system. They don't want to take any responsibility for their life. They love the control. They want to be half cyborg or whatever. They want to get the implant,
half AI.
That's the route they want to go. And when you talk about freedom, you have to talk about freedom all the way. They're free to want that, but what they're not free to do is make me have it if I don't want it. That's where my problem lies. You can't do that to me. I am free too, and this is not how I want to live. This is not. So, but you all made some very good points, and I do. One thing I feel like people do underestimate your generation too is they're just like, oh, they're just lazy, because You guys don't want to be a part of this
something really
slave system. You're saying like, wait a minute, I got to spend all my time in school. Then as soon as I'm done with school, then I go to college. I get horribly in debt, and then I have to take a job that I most likely will hate, and then I'll do that all the way until maybe I can retire someday. Probably not. So I'll be basically having to work or depending off the system until I literally die. Yeah, who would want to do that? If you just sit back and think about it, yeah, I get why you don't want to do that. You know, it's just something we all, my generation, we just accepted that's life.
Yeah.
And when you guys started to push back, even I was a victim, I can admit that I felt that way. Like, damn, y'all don't want to do. But now I'm like, what? You know, as I became more awake, I'm like, I get it. Who wouldn't want to live like this? Is ridiculous. It's just it sets you up to be a slave for your entire life.
I feel like the laziness is really just a lot of broken spirits. I feel like our generation's spirit has been really broken. I feel like what brought me back is the truth and freedom movement, knowing that there's more to life than this, that there's a possibility. And I think it all starts with being able to believe that we can do more, and being able to just imagine a better world for yourself. And I feel like with all of these broken spirits, it's hard for people to imagine anything more than what we have experienced. And with our generation specifically, like, because even like COVID happening to our generation was very, very, very world altering. Like I think it kind of like everybody I know, I feel like went through kind of like a shock factor with that, and then kind of more of like I don't know, like it's hard to explain, I guess, but like that was genuinely world altering. It felt like the world stopped, and I don't think I ever realized how quickly things could be altered, and that changed because when you asked Cece earlier, like if anything ever happened to you in your life to kind of like really make you realize, there was multiple things, but that was definitely one of them. I realized how quickly government is able to just stick up and take everything away from everybody overnight at a whim, and just how quickly collapse can occur. Things collapsed very quickly. People lost their livelihoods so quickly, and there was no structure to support these people. And I think that like we all felt that. We all felt how kind of it was like a very strong sense of like helplessness. Like what are we all doing? And also just like that kind of break in our like social sphere, and not being able, like being so isolated from everybody at such a fundamental age was very, very like there's definitely like that changed our generation. Like there's so many social issues and communicative issues within our generation, and a lot of it stems from that. It also stems from having technology since we were like 5, but also that time period was very, very, very influential in our lives, whether that be positive or negative, but it had a lot of influence on how we progressed.
Sorry, did you want to go, Miss Cynthia?
No, go ahead.
But thank you for bringing up that point. It was COVID going on that time. I literally had to push that out of my mind, but that definitely was a very strange time period, because even though after a year of like quarantine or whatever, like a semester, people had the ability to go back to school or to stay at home. I was one of the people that went back to school, and that was the most dystopian, weirdest thing ever. Like, you cannot interact with anyone face to face. Like, you had to keep going around the hallway until you got to your class. It didn't matter where you were. You cannot be facing the same person, could not be sitting next to anyone. And I feel like that is the perfect depiction of how they want society to be. When you really do think about it, because it's just like, how can you expect people to feel normal, especially children, teenagers? Like, how can you so I feel like that's where they chose to make the shift to view everyone around you in community distant. especially being that like we're in quarantine for a year.
Doing it as a threat.
Yeah, as a threat. And then on top of that, when you even think about what was going on at that time, we had elections, we had George Floyd. That was something that was deeper than fear. I remember feeling so hopeless and just having so much anxiety, just wondering like where my dad was, where was my brother, where was my mom, like just so many different worries. It's like not knowing what's going on. And yeah, like it was just definitely it was a great shift into something deeper.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to look into different like ways of like protection and like recognizing myself versus what's going on in the world, and just understanding different dualities and just stuff like that. Because I don't know, I just that's when my practices definitely began, I will say. But yeah.
And yeah.
I'm sorry. So how can Gen Z, I'm sorry, there's a typo there, but how can Gen Z make the most impact? What do you all think?
I definitely think I think we as a generation have had the most access to information that like any other generation has ever had. So I feel like with that, there's so much power in the information that is accessible to us. We could do so much with it once people are ready to seek it out. So I feel like those of us who do know, as long as we continue to try to educate everyone else, and once we do get on that, like it's so everything is there. All of the information is there. You know what I mean? And I feel like also because things are crumbling, like our structures are falling apart, as scary as that is, it gives us an opening to build a new future for ourselves in the way that we want. Yeah. And that's why it is so important for people to know what's going on, because everybody needs to know, one, that we need to be building these structures, but also what do you want those structures to be? I always tell people that right now it's really important to figure out what you really, really want out of your life. Like, what do you want out of your life? Because honestly, we're getting pretty much a open door to build it. Like, and it doesn't seem that easy because of the violence that we are up against. Like, but like you said, like the true way to combat our oppressor is to build parallel systems to what is currently collapsing. And we have the freedom of making that what we want it to be. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how would you answer that?
I would say pretty much everything that she said, and to really knowing like what do you want, and then on top of that, also being able to decipher what kind of impact you want to make and how you want to make that impact. If it's through doing something small within your community, or if it's actually doing something globally, I think that's something to know. If you're the type to believe that, in order to be free, you have to, give a little, go the extra mile, and maybe do violence, have to, not believe in certain systems anymore, not physical violence, but just in terms of like killing a system full on, whether you think voting helps or it doesn't help, or if you think that sending your children to school will help them or not, whether participating in certain things or spending your money on certain things, realizing that currency have much, much, much more impact than you think it does. And also just teaching yourself. I think education is the biggest part of this all. We can talk about anything that we want, but if you do not know anything, then you're just useless. I hate to say it like that, but it's just like, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know history, if you don't know how to survive, like if you won't be beneficial. I hate to say, you won't be beneficial to the revolution. So you have to know the basics, and you have to know what you want. Some people are willing to accept this. Like Miss Cynthia said earlier, some people are comfortable in the system, and there's some people who are generally not. And just know that the same way this system was built on violence is going to take harsh action to take it down. It's not going to be easy, but it's an open door and it's an open door. We definitely do have the ability to get that world that we want, to get that community, to get that love and reassurance and that creativity that we deserve as human beings. I think that's my thing. At the end of the day, we're humans. We're from wherever you think, whether it's God, the universe, nature. That is our divine right to be free without having to give up anything. Like that's just not the way of living. So I think that's the way that I think of like the impacts to make, honestly, to go against this. But my biggest one is just education, knowing what you're talking about and knowing why you're talking about it even. And so, yeah.
And I feel like
very good answers.
This, like, again, we are at that stage of life where you're kind of choosing what you want to do with the rest of it. Like, so I always tell people, like, as you're going into as you're choosing your career, think about the ethics, think about the morals of what career you're trying to go into, and think about the security of these corporate jobs that you're trying to go into as these, like, notice and recognize the systems that are crumbling and what will happen to you if you are trying to go into these systems. I know a couple of different people who are like in college for things to do with like AI and stuff like that, and I just want y'all to think about the full-on implications, not just the monetary benefits of what you're doing, because it's not going to mean anything if you can't breathe when you go outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is that serious.
It is that serious.
I found out today, and like I guess it's a small tangent, but like there's a lot of construction going on 316 headed to Athens. So if you're listening and you're from Georgia, you might know what I'm talking about. But I found out today that all of that is being done because they're trying to build one of those like tech centers here, like in the same tech centers that we've been hearing about from Memphis, and how they go outside and it smells like chlorine in the air and they can't breathe, and they're also running out of water. That's coming here and is going everywhere, and that's what people need to understand. Like, you might be able to feel far away from an issue right now, but it's coming to you.
Yeah.
And the same thing with these top cities that are being built, all of it, like that's going to affect everybody at one point or another. Fascism is going to affect you. It won't continue and not affect you. And these, like, ICE is going to affect you. It's so much bigger than race. It's so much bigger than any of that. They are taking away anybody who does not fit in the specific mold of the future that they have planned, which is the majority of us. I don't think people understand that. The majority of us do not fit into their picture.
Anyone who doesn't comply.
Yes, anybody who does not comply is not who they want.
Yeah.
And so, like, even people, like, I don't know, I feel like people need to understand the full scope of our enemy and what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I agree.
It's hugely important, and the morality thing is really important because so many people will quickly dismiss their morality for a paycheck, or they feel like their immoral behavior is excused because it's their job. Well, they told me I had to do this. That is never an excuse for immorality. That is never an excuse to trample on someone else's freedom. Wrong is wrong. Doesn't matter if you get paid for it. Doesn't matter how high up the person was who told you to do it. So it's still wrong.
There was a point in history where all Nazis were order followers doing their job. And now see how we talk about them. So
exactly.
Make sure that you're making decisions that will leave you on the right side of history. So, yeah. And
absolutely.
Even just your silence is complacency to it. That doesn't make you exempt from what's happening. Your silence is complacency, especially if you are aware. And that's one thing that I will say about my generation and the people who aren't saying anything. I know y'all know what's going on. All of us have a phone. All of us have Instagram. And I can't say all of us, obviously, but like the majority of us. Y'all have access to
a good amount of us.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's hard to escape and run away from all of these problems that are going on in the world. So I know you know about at least something. And if you take time to delve into just one of those things, pick one path, it connects back to everything else. You know what I mean? So regardless of where you start off, you should be able to learn about everything, and that's what we need. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, those are really, really good answers. So we're going to come up to our final question. How are you personally involved in the Truth and Freedom movement or building your Truth and Freedom community? Do you want to go first, Cecilia?
I would say just simple things like participating in mutual aid, um, listening and talking to your friends. I think that goes a long way. Educating other people. I don't believe in fully giving people the solution until you see they have interest in it, because I do think people should see how far they can get on their own, and then they should be like, okay, so what is the solution, what do you think we should do? And me just not participating in certain things or like certain organization or supporting certain artists or celebrities. I don't eat at certain places anymore. Doing my own things, making my own things, staying creative, really in the creative flow. I feel like that goes against everything that this system has fought
True.
so hard to try to keep up with. It's just for you not to be creative, to be a robot, to be someone who just goes with the flow of the system. But I feel like if you are in tune with yourself and you create on your own rather than to consume other mediocre things, then I think that's good. But I think that's some of the things that I've been staying involved with the movement and just educating myself, like I said before.
I agree. Just, I feel like most of all is just me always trying to make sure that I'm as educated as I possibly can be, because we can't get anywhere without that. And then just like Cece said, not participating in the unethical parts of society. You know what I mean? As best as I can, because everything is so intertwined. It's hard
Yeah.
to um, like participate in certain things, but it's just harm reduction in whatever capacity you as an individual are able to do it, because everybody's in a different situation. I don't expect people in worse financial situations to be able to boycott like certain places, because that might be all you have access to and all you can afford, and I can understand that. But people based off of your specific amount of privilege and where you are in life should dictate the amount of harm reduction you are doing. You know what I mean? So like, if you have the ability to not shop at specific places, don't do it anymore. You know what I mean? If you have the ability, like if, and everybody has the ability to do this, but especially when it comes to like artists and celebrities, like who are directly contributing to the culture problems, I think it's an important responsibility for us as individuals to stop engaging with those artists and with like, because it all is interconnected. Us giving more power to these people and platforming people who don't care about anything contributes to a society that does not care about anything. So we can't continue doing that. And I feel like there's a lot of just kind of like separating the art from the artist and da 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 da. And as much as I can understand that, it's just our issue is so much bigger than anything that you're getting out of these artists. I'm sorry. And also, like, there are so many artists that do care about the movement, that need your support, because they're never going to be getting as much publicity as the artists who are complying with the system. There's a reason why top artists are talking about certain things and acting certain ways and look certain ways. It's all strategic. And so just having that education of that and doing something with it. But it doesn't matter if you know that da 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 is actually a bad person and is only spewing this because of her label, and you're still listening to her and going to her concerts. You know what I mean? So like, you can't.
Yeah.
We shouldn't do both. And then also just like trying my best to form community with those around me, and I feel like the best way to start that is just nurturing the relationships you already have to the best degree possible. Which is why I just try to like do stuff for my friends when I can. And like, I like being able to just make meals for my friends. And I like to be able to do things for them without it being a transactional interaction. Because that's what we need the most. We need to be able to just do things for each other. That is the basis of community. And I don't think we can rush into just building major communities if we don't even know how to interact with it yet. You know what I mean? Because that's not how we've lived.
No.
We have not lived like that. Everything has become very, very, very individualized.
If I'm not getting something out of it, I don't want to
So,
participate. I don't care.
I feel like it needs to be practiced really. Like we need to be practicing how to live in community with one another.
This is true.
And just practice sharing with each other and being kind with one another and patient with one another, and very, like, we're in a time where people need a lot of grace, and I try to remember that too as things happen, and knowing that I'm just so deep into this movement and not everybody else is there yet, that has to be met with grace for those people, because I'm also in a very like lucky situation to have the mom that I had that jump started me into being able to be in this moment and knowing like everything that I do know. Most, like, there's so many people who are not even close to a situation that I am in, like parents that also don't know anything, parents that might be in a much worse off financial situation that doesn't have time to care about those types of things. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all by design. That's all by design. So I remember that too, and that makes me just care even more about this movement and wanting to have more patience and compassion for those people, because they are victims of this system. And I have to remember that, like, my ops are not my fellow citizens who even may have differing opinions than me, but it's usually all because of this system. People wouldn't, like, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of the ways that people feel and a lot of the ways that people act do not come naturally to us, but are just results of programming and propaganda from the system and human trauma that the system has given us from generations to generations to generations. So,
ooh, y'all, y'all gave some great answers. Thank you. So we're gonna see if we have some questions or comments. Let me make sure everyone is unmuted here. If anyone would like that's unmuted already has a question or comment, please go right ahead and speak.
Yo.
Hey.
What's up, everyone?
Hi.
Wow. It's crazy.
Wow, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm very inspired and touched listening to today's episode. I just first, sort of want to offer thanks. Thank you guys for coming and saying what you said, feeling how you feel, doing what you do, and being who you are, because you feel authentic, and everything that you said, aligns with hope for the future, as well as hope for the present. So I really appreciate y'all. Just wanted to say that first. And then one of the, and I hope it's a juicy little question for you guys, and I hope you have fun giving the answer. One of the big mistakes that my generation made, which I consider myself a little slightly in between everyone present, right, is we echo chambered ourselves too hard. So what I mean by that is we preach to the choir too much. We stay silent and then get together with people who have given some sort of hint that they're in the club, that they're in the know. Then we meet somewhere private and have our little private meeting, and we're like, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to start doing, and then we never go talk to the people that, or never went and talked to the people that need to be taken off of whatever track they're on and put on our track. We never extended enough to those that disagree. So obviously shouting matches wouldn't be a good solution for that, but what are some ideas that you two have that, you may want to see some of the cool, some of the viral, some of the leadership, if you will, of your generation in, the truth seeker circles do to not echo chamber too hard like we did?
Um, I would say, I would say for starters, given the fact that we are in the age of social media, I think this is a great opportunity to use your platform. And that's why I'm big on influencers using their platforms. And even my friends or anyone who wants to be a creator, especially a content creator, to get that message out there. I feel like the power of technology, especially social media, is so strong to the point where you can influence anybody. And that's where there's influencers, whether it's for clothes, hair, products, whatever. Same with opinions. So I feel like if you have the ability to sit on a phone and speak passionately about something, that is your way of getting your message out there. And then it's now like a domino effect. Everyone is seeing that video. Everyone is hearing you. Everyone is hearing you speak. And people get very passionate by just hearing the people that they know or think they know speak. And I think that is a lot. I think that's an advantage that we do have with social media and with this generation, rather than what the last generation had. Like, y'all had to genuinely go outside to, link up and talk about these things. But now we can just sit on the phone like right now and just talk. And like now everyone knows what you're talking about and what you're down for, and can learn off of that. And I can learn off of you, and etc. And we can have disagreements and we can have agreements, but we can grow together because we both know that we want freedom at the end of the day, and we want everyone to be liberated and um, and to receive justice. So I think that's one advantage and one way to get to defeat that echo chamber.
Yes, I agree completely, and it's almost frustrating sometimes because like doing it, because I will post something of me talking on my Instagram story about like at least 5 times a week. So, and it's not, I'll usually just be in my car and I'm thinking and I talk about it and I post it because I want it to be that simple, and I want people to see how easy it can be. And people have come to me and told me that seeing me talk about things makes them want to talk about things. And I've seen that spiral into more and more people that I just know talking about things online. And each person that starts talking about something is reaching other people that I'm not reaching. It can, like, if everybody with an Instagram talked about what's going on, then everybody on Instagram would know about what's going on. And that's why I always preach use your platform. Like, there's so much absolute nonsense that people talk about on social media all the time. And I'm not saying don't have your fun. Like, have your fun. Things can be fun. Things can be silly. Things can be playful. But remember the severity of the time that we're in. So prioritize educating others, educating yourself, and truth and freedom. You know what I mean? Like, that needs to be the top priority above anything else. Especially on social media, because it can be a very tactical tool that we can use, and I don't think it's being used very tactically right now. But if we all got together and started talking about the same things, we'd be on the same frequency and the same wavelength. We'd all feel a lot more motivated and together on these issues. It's very isolating right now still, being like active, talking on social media and stuff, because there's not that many people doing it. At least not that many people that I know personally. Like, I can find comfort in the other like influencers and stuff that are talking about the same things I'm talking about, but it's still just far away. You know what I mean? But that's why I like to continue posting and get reactions out of people that I do know in real life. So I'm understanding and acknowledging and realizing the people who are on the right track, the people that I could be talking to more. I like to see where people are at and move according to where I think that they are, and giving them information in that way that's still digestible to them, because the truth is scary. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's
terrifying.
Everything is backwards. Everything is backwards. So that's a lot of information to be able to take in at once. So yeah, and just alongside social media, just trying to do things with your community. A couple months ago, I had a community fair with my friends, and Cece was there too. She had jewelry that she made herself. It was beautiful. I got them.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It was great. But that was great, and I made like these posters just with like resources on them that people could use for education, news, donations, anything like that. And I think incorporating education into our fun and how we have fun is also very important, because there's like tons of different types of people at that event. I didn't know everybody that was there, you know what I mean? It was very open to the community. Come, you know, and it was free
Somebody
to go.
brought their baby. It was so random, but somebody brought their baby.
Crazy. But it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Like everybody was in such a like everybody was sharing. I got so many things because people were still selling their things, but I just got things for free. Like it was just nice. Like people were just so and there was a lot of good conversation happening there. And I think just creating safe spaces for people to have these conversations and encouraging those conversations to be had is just very important, because who knows how many people at that event learned something new that day. So yeah, I just think that that's also important.
Very
Indeed.
good.
Thank you for your answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good
Y'all
question.
keep going.
Yeah,
Keep
absolutely.
going.
Absolutely.
It
Any
gets
other
less scary.
that question? That was a great question. So,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
were there any other questions or comments from anyone?
Bonjour.
Hi, Derek.
Hello there from France.
Yes, all the way from France.
Yeah, long time no see, mon ami. And it's great to see Cece and your daughter in the place to be. That's great.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
yeah, it's really impressive hearing you guys speak, getting some waves of emotions. And yeah, there's this really cool song. Y'all should listen to it sometime that kept popping in and out of my mind from Fat Freddy's Drop. Ooh, la, la.
Let me write that down. Fat Freddy.
Fat Freddy's Drop, yeah. Titled Hope for the Generation.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
I'm gonna
Yeah, I
write that
mixed it in
down.
one of my hip hop mixes, but yeah, it's just
And feel free to send it to me if you have it handy, but I'll check it out for sure either way.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, I was really intrigued by like leading up to this, like here, like smokes, like Gen Z type of stuff. We had Cynthia on Dissolving the Divide. We also had another episode, kind of going over the whole generational divisions and issues and kind of like gripes in between and this and that.
Yeah.
And it's like, ladies, I feel y'all and I hear you. And I've been kind of scratching my chin about these, thinking about it over the years of just, and y'all hit it on the head. Like, you guys were born into this security state post 9/11 with this, whatever acts and all that. That's hella whack and all that stuff. And it's like it's easy for any of the older generations to say like, oh yeah, Gen Z and whatever, Gen Alpha, whatever the hell is going on. Titles and labels. It's just a label in the end, right? And age is just a number. Some people are here, recently born, but could be old souls and all that. So, but then there's the social conditioning and yada yada. But, all that to say that, I get that you guys are underestimated. I heard, I think CC said that, and you're using that as like fuel to the fire of that passion and drive and all that stuff. And I'm just like, yes, roll with that. Don't let these, like just prove them wrong. That's one of the best catalysts I feel and stuff. So I was glad you brought that up. So yeah, and also talking about divine rights and trying to reclaim those and stuff, and like how many people actually know what their rights are, right? So yeah, I just wanted to give some comments. Hats off to y'all. I guess a question would be, because it's like these uncertain times, things are so expensive, and you hear about, the traditional ways of life with, like the nuclear family, if you will, with the housewife and the man that works and
Hmm.
a couple kids and a dog, and you don't need. Who cares about the white picket fence? It doesn't even have to be white, right?
Yeah,
But
it can
that's
be
a
pink.
whitewashed American dream type of thing, right? So I'm just curious, like, how do you guys see life in the next like 5 years, even like temporally, relationship wise? I know you guys are concerned about AI, as am I, and yeah, I appreciate the shout out to that earlier, Cynthia. But I'm gonna leave it at that. So yeah, thank you.
Do you want to go, Susie?
Yeah, Trinity, you can start.
um, that's just been my question to myself often. Like, she knows. I talk to her about that all the time, just of how hard it is for me to really envision a structured future for myself. I so for the most part, I don't. Like, I just, not that I don't feel that I'll have a future, but I more so know that the task at hand is so ever changing that it's not even really like too smart for me to get too like attached to an idea because I don't know exactly where we're headed.
Yeah.
I am just doing what I can with what I have right now. And trying to move things in a direction forward. Like, I know that there are certain things that I do want out of my future, just more so of having like a cohesive, like in the same way where I maybe when I was 10 was like, oh yeah, and I'm gonna be 25 and I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna have kids and I'm gonna live in the mountains or da 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 da, whatever that is. It's not as easy for me to have any type of idea like that anymore because I don't know how I'd afford it, especially with kids. Like, that's just so far beyond my like conception right now. I don't even like I can't even think about that. So I really do just keep my focus on the truth and freedom movement. We won't be able to live comfortably if we don't combat this issue. So I'm not really even thinking about how I can get exactly there right now, if that makes sense. But I do know that I want to be able to live freely. That's what I know for a fact. That I want to be able to have the option to choose. And knowing that I don't even have that right now, I need to combat that. I need to deal with that problem first. So I guess that's my answer to the question.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Steve?
I would say for me, pretty much the same thing, but I definitely do think about the future a lot, especially being how young I am. I'm constantly like wondering if I want to get married, if I want to have kids, if I don't want to do that, if I want to do this, if I want to go to that party tomorrow, if I don't want to go to that party tomorrow. So I'm always thinking about that, like the future. In terms of the next 5 years, I do know we are for sure going to be pushed into a different way of living. Because each month we're getting our rights or something is coming up to just, make you think about something else. Like, you think you're going to be able to travel freely next year, but then you're hearing they're taking away this, that, and the third. So it's just like, I don't know. So, I mean, honestly, I think about the future and I do what I can. I still want to travel. I'm going to travel, but I'm also going to be for the movement. So I'm not going to just travel without educating others and letting others educate me and having the same ignorant belief, because I feel like at the end of the day we should do each other the favor and the courage to educate each other. I think that's very fair, and to spread that message, because you're all the way in France, I'm all the way in Georgia, so it's just like, but we're both on the same we both want the same things. We want to be free, we want to be liberated, we want to be at peace. So yeah, but I know at the end of the day, my future is going to be that. Whether I will take it or whether I'll go somewhere else and find and create that for myself, is going to be there for me regardless. So yeah, the next 5 years is definitely iffy with certain things, but I know for sure there's going to be light at the end there, that tunnel. Regardless. Yeah.
The next 5 years will be revolutionary.
Yeah.
I can say that. And that's what I'm betting on, really. Like, I just know that these next 5 years and going into this just new age, all we are supposed to, like, all this is, this age of Aquarius is truth coming out, revolution happening, and us coming into a new world. And I know the things that I want to see in that new world, and all I really am trying to do is figure out how to implement these into society as is right now. And as that changes itself organically, I just will move with that, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Great answers. Like, any other comments or questions, anyone?
Hey guys, sorry. It's you
Hey,
know who it is.
Zoe.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm rushing getting ready, but I've had this on the whole time I was getting ready and a lot of stuff was popping in my head. And I think it all came down to honestly the question Soul asked about generations and stuff. And I feel like the differences in generations doesn't even like come from the time we were born or like the year we were born, if that makes sense to me, especially with like the studying I've been doing regarding foreign policy and all, um especially for like millennials and like people aged like my dad or even like my grandmother. The system for them was so set up out of fear, like fear, anxiety, like knowing that if you don't put your trust into this, like you have nothing, like especially for POC. Like we know like my dad's a vet. We know my dad's a vet, and I feel like even him being a vet, he regrets that every single day of his life because of the system that he had to be put through. It was rather be a D1 in sports or go to the army office and sell your soul, basically. And he talks about that all the time. He tried the sports option, and even that was taken away from him because of racism. And I just feel like a lot of like new generations that ask us to be quiet or even ask us like, why are we doing it like this? Or like things will play to them in their head, like it'll play out.
Yeah.
It'll just play out to them, especially when talking to Nana. I feel like I'm getting her through. I'm hoping I'm getting her through, but she's just in her head. She's like, this will just play out and this is always how it's been. But then you ask them like, it's has it played out for you? Like what more like or have you gotten what you were hoping you were gonna get at my age? And then it's silence. And it's like sad, but also like we need to take that into accountability. Like nothing's going to change unless we sit there and
Yeah.
do something about it, whatever way that may be. Especially with the fear aspect of it. My dad was in the, I hope I'm getting like Afghan invasion and Iraqi invasion, and that that was a failure. Like that war was a failure. We honestly have not won a war like our own war probably since the Civil War, because I won't even say World War II was our war. And the Cold War, even itself, I could argue is still going on right now, if we got into that. But Afghanistan, that war was a failure. Vietnam was a failure. And the only reason we keep going into situations like this is because America drives off our anxiety and our fear. And like
Yeah.
this
Yeah, they
mindset
make a
that
ton of
we
money off
need
of
to
wars.
keep fighting. Yes,
Still
exactly.
orphaned out
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So,
This
good
idea
con.
that we have to keep fighting for something because we deserve this or we worked our way to this, it's almost it is dehumanizing to
Yeah.
everybody else because what are they not worth that we want from them? And I just that's really something big I've been thinking about, like humanity and empathy is the bottom line to me, period. I have growing up obviously like you're told to be like pick a side, and obviously we naturally, us being POC, especially women, we naturally pick the left leaning side. But as of recent, especially like getting older and having to pay these adult things, like do these adult ways. There is no left and right. There is no right and wrong. There
Same
is
side.
nothing that these people are not doing that is actually like beneficial to anything but their pockets. And I wish the main rhetorics for at the very least our generation, because we're going to be the ones pushing it through, is just simply empathy. Like there's nothing different about any of us besides maybe the color of our skin. And like, yeah, that's something I was thinking about, and the generation question made me want to talk and click the little button because, like, there's no way. Like, yeah, like empathy is so lacked recently to the point where it's like, even if something happens to somebody on the opposite side, like, or if even if something is like somebody I don't agree with, or that this, then a third, like, humanity is humanity, and we got to apply it to all, or it means nothing at all.
That
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. That was an extremely important point to make. It has to apply to all or it means nothing. I might post that. Can I steal that?
Yes, girl, you got that, girl.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. And that was a great kind of note to end on. And I will let you both give a closing comment, but I just want to quick mention the upcoming podcast. We have the AI podcast coming up on October 8th. At 7 with Derek, who was speaking earlier. He will be my guest on that. So we're going to really dive deep onto the dark side of AI and big tech. And on September 24th, I will have the final 15 point of my the natural law aspects of natural law that I wanted to cover. So this is You Are Divine by Design. That'll be on Wednesday, September 27th. And as always, of course, visit Affirm Life Daily. Follow on social at Affirm Life Daily, and subscribe on YouTube. Your help, your support, every share, every like, every visit to the website, every subscription to the newsletter, it all helps, every share, to spread the words of truth and freedom. We're a collective and we have to do this together. Mm-hmm. So I would want to give you both an opportunity to close out, and any final statements, anything you'd like to share.
Cynthia, real quick, I'm so sorry. Tensi says she can't unmute.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, Tensi. Go right ahead, ma'am.
You are so good. I just wanted to put my voice to say that I wholeheartedly appreciate this conversation, because it's one thing, like what has already been mentioned. It's one thing to hear about what someone else is thinking, and then to hear from their mouths themselves. And the wealth of knowledge and wisdom that came forth during this call was just so beautiful. And it almost feels like y'all grandmamas, but young. So I just kudos to you honoring your spirit above all else. I feel like that's what's shining through. And thank y'all, because the questions that already came across, they the insights I was about to ask already got answered through the course of the conversation. And so I just wanted to say, if we could have more opportunities to speak across generations, I think that is just phenomenal. Because,
I agree.
Yeah.
That's why this episode was so important to me, and I'm so grateful for their passion and dedication and their willingness to freely express themselves, and not caring if any pushback that they get, they're still going to stand their ground. They're going to stay moral. They're going to stick to their integrity. And I got mad respect for these young ladies. So yeah, thank you all for listening as well. So yeah, anything you all want to say?
Hey, Cynthia, can I say something real quick?
Oh, sure.
Hey, I'm be fast because I'm like walking into work right now. I was listening in the car, but to what both of y'all, Trent and Cece, were talking about, like what you're, I forgot who asked, but like what do you see in like the next 5 years? It is a really interesting question, and like it's definitely hard, like not knowing, like we're never really taught anything about the land, like the legality of it. It's like I've really been looking into like different types of property, like public property, and like the difference between a farm and a state. Like, just there's different types of land. So like I really just want to understand the government's view of like how they control the land and why it's so hard to just live and like homestead and be by yourself, so that like I can move around it while I'm still in it, but while I'm out of it, then I know like, oh, like I just need to do this or get a like like a trust fund, or like, you know, just there's certain ways to use the way that the government keeps us in these areas that I want to learn, so that once you're in a position of like being able to grow and do things completely by yourself and like legally, you can like figure out how to get out of it and just have like a cushion, so that if anybody does like try and combat you with that, you know what to do.
No, you bring up some very good points, and I will direct you into one website as well, collectivelysustainable.org. I would definitely check that out. It may give you some insights into, you know, homesteads, farmsteads, getting started. They share a lot of resources in that community on how to take advantage of some of the things in the current system as we're moving out of it, as we're transitioning. So yeah, I would definitely, and there's links to that on my site. So if you go to affirmlifedaily.com, you can get a link directly to the collectivelysustainable.org. All right, Ms. Trinity.
Well, just I want to say thank you to everybody for listening. This was a really cool experience. I'm glad that you asked me to do this, and I'm glad that I did go ahead and do it. I just want to encourage everybody to continue doing what you're doing, I guess. Everybody here listening, I know y'all are on the right track, and just I'm glad that we're able to all feel so passionate about this cause. It's so important. So yeah, and then aside from that, just want to say free Palestine, free Congo, free Sudan, free Turtle Island. Remember where we are. This is not America. This is Turtle Island, and it belonged to people. It belonged to people way before it belonged to us. So when we're fighting for this freedom, remember that we're also fighting for them as well. I feel like their pain has been so just glossed over and not acknowledged, and I want that to really, 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 really be brought back to the surface, I guess. But yeah, freeing all those that are marginalized. So yeah, I guess that's all.
You.
And I just want to say thank you to everyone who were tuning in, gave their comments, gave their questions. Everyone is just so wonderful, and thank you, Miss Cynthia, for having me on your platform. And I just want to say that at the end of the day, we're all human, and that should be your drive to want freedom for yourself and for others. I feel like even if I didn't have the ancestry that I had, I would still be on the right side, because I don't see how I could want to be human and want this for myself and not want that for my neighbor, whether literal down the street or on the other side of this world. So definitely remember where you came from, where you are, where you want to go, and liberation to all. Because if they're not free, we're not free, and we're all one. And keep that in mind. It's more than this and more than that. It's just one. So I'm glad to be on this podcast, and I hope everyone had a great time.
Yes, I hope y'all enjoyed.
Yes.
Absolutely. You both were very, very insightful and gave us all a lot to think about and a better understanding of some of the, you know, serious trials and tribulations that your generation has faced since pretty much birth. So I appreciate you, and thank you all for joining. And again, please visit the website. Other than that, I wish you all infinite grace, love, and gratitude. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday.
Likewise.
Bye.